Good afternoon, bienvenidos. Episode 2 of the Your Time Junto con Adriel podcast. I made a trip up here to Comfort, Texas to meet my next guest. He's somebody that I've known pretty much all my life. I grew up with him in my hometown of Alfurrias, Texas. So, without further ado, Mr. Ernesto Varial.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
So, wanted to say thank you so much for joining me on this podcast journey that I'm taking. When I was thinking of starting this, you're like my top 10 people that I wanted to have come up on my podcast. Because, like I said, I see we're online on Facebook, and I see his posts, and we both kind of have like the same type of outlook as far as servitude. I do it for a living, and what physical therapy, helping people, after strokes, after injuries, and just age. Ernesto has that same type of philosophy as far as when it comes to servitude. So, speaking of that, what is what you enjoy most about doing servitude? Like you're telling me about pretty much was it your grandfather or your great grandfather?
Pretty much both. But first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about your journey, and I'm honored that you thought of me as you're going through this journey as well. But I think the servitude came naturally or inherent through my family. It's always been taught to me that it was a responsibility. If you have the ability to give, that is, I guess, what you are supposed to do. So I've always thought of it as a responsibility. I'm just grateful that I've been able to find avenues in which I've been able to direct that passion that my grandfather or great grandfather, I'm sure, instilled into him, and my dad. I'm just paying it forward.
Paying it forward. Yeah, that's a great outlook and a great way to be, because it makes you a lot more capable of working with people and helping them. And you find a joy in that. So he has this same type of philosophy. But I'll be showing, because this can be edited, I want to show a little bit of footage around Comfort. But where are we right now?
We're in the historic district of Comfort, Texas, pretty much the central or part of this central hill country, probably about 30 miles west of San Antonio on I-10. So it's a beautiful historical town, primarily German community.
Yeah, I've passed through here when I used to be a biker. I rode a Harley, and this was some of my favorite routes to travel through, all through the hill country. This is beautiful out there. And I can see why you're kind of also drawn to this place, because it's just awesome, right?
Oh yes, my heart is in this community, and my heart is in the community.
Yes, our order has arrived. But I wanted to use this kind of as an introduction. We're going to be doing the second part of this interview it's a hotel.
It is one of the first hotels in the Texas Hill Country. It's the Hotel Giles in downtown Comfort.
Hotel Giles here in Comfort, Texas. It was the VIP room, or what is it called?
We're in the gentleman's parlor, which back in the 1800s, that was where the gentlemen would sit and drink their bourbon and smoke their cigars, while the ladies had their upstairs parlor up at the hotel.
It's a really cool setup. You guys will see it here just in a bit. So we're continuing with our content here. We're still here at both hands, and we were talking about humor. I don't know if you guys remember Happy, right? You remember Happy?
Everybody remembers Happy the Clown from South Texas, Corpus.
And we were saying that his type of
Happy New Year,
jokes and humor we can relate to. We think it's freaking hilarious, right? And I tell some of the jokes now, to some of my patients that I work with, right? Like there was one particular joke that he mentioned, and like I said, I don't know now, it might be something that's very
Did you guys eat here?
sensitive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we did. It was great.
They're good burgers.
And
Oh, shit.
he's
Sorry,
talking
doing video
about
content, so thanks.
three people crossing the border, right? They're from Mexico. And it's a group of like maybe 10 people, but they're like talking amongst themselves. And all of a sudden, just two people cross the border, right? So they wait for all of them to get there. And then the Border Patrol agent says, you know, you guys could have had a better chance if you all would just cross at the same time, right? But they said, pues este anuncio dice no trespassing.
I just got that. No trespassing.
It was kind of like a little stupid corny joke, but I thought it was hilarious. And here we are, Hotel Giles?
It's a Hotel Giles.
Hotel Giles, sorry. Continuing with my time here with Mr. Ernesto Varia. And we've had some great content. We've been like, hey man, we should be recording this, you know, but we've been spending maybe the past hour, right? Yeah. Just hanging out and just having an interesting conversation. Like I said, that's what my podcast is about, and making connections with people. Like I said, I love Ernesto's story, right? It's not just because I grew up with him and he's from where I'm from, but it's just that he has lots of passion for what he does. And we're kind of like very like-minded in that aspect, as far as, you know, connecting with people, talking to them. And like I said, once again, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's a great day. It's a little on the chilly side, but downtown Comfort, I'll shoot some more video footage for you guys. It's just a great day to be out here. This is really a really cool place here in Comfort, Texas. So if you're coming up through the hill country and want to make it's kind of like we were talking earlier, it's got that kind of like Fredericksburg green vibe going on here.
We're pretty much like Fredericksburg, although we have there's more sense of community. So you'll identify that. That's why I'm here at the Giles Hotel, because they welcome networking and community and whatnot. That's the beauty of this town. And also, like Fredericksburg, we have some really good wineries and distilleries and restaurants and bourbon and whatnot. So
yeah, for those
that's another added beauty.
That's another added
community
beauty.
Or what's something that keeps me here in this town. But it is a wonderful sense of community.
Yeah, and so we've been having a great time here, and I just want to continue with this. It's pretty much my podcast is free flowing, right? Usually, like with yesterday, with Miss Celinda Bradshaw, we'll be editing and publishing that episode here soon. It's just a really great experience so far. I'm really enjoying this journey.
Well, I'm excited. This is fun. I'm excited for you. It takes a lot of gutsy to be able to go out there and do
this, right? This is like really I mentioned earlier, I've been doing this 26 years, going into people's home and meeting, having conversations, listening to their stories. There was one that I don't think I talked about it yesterday, but I've worked with pediatrics, you know, and I was going to be treating this. Well, usually nowadays, if the child's not walking after a year, they put them as developmental delay, right? And they'll start services for physical therapy. Now, when they get to he's in an apartment, right? And I walk in and there's 3 statues of the Santa Muerte there, right?
That's the black candle with the.
It looks like, you know, the Virgin Mary, but with a
Skeletor with a little.
There you go. Okay. The Grim Reaper.
Okay.
There's like 3 of those, and that was so bizarre, right? Because I don't understand, and I'm not trying to offend anybody's particular religion or belief, but the way I understood, in front of the Santa Muerte, there was a box, and it was lleno de billete, full with bills of all, you know, 5, 20, maybe I did see like maybe $100 bill in there. Well, like I said, I'm sorry if it offends anybody, but I don't know anything. Call me ignorant about this type of religion, right? I am Catholic and still am. But the lure says is that's the offering they have to give this deity, because if they don't, and when they stop, the protection is they no longer have her protection. And according
so it's
to
a chick.
it was Santa Muerte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they said, they did.
Oh, okay.
They said, they referred her as to, female.
Okay.
And what they say that they'll also do is whenever someone wants to get out of that type of lifestyle, they will leave the cartel, and they have to keep giving this offering to them for the protection, so the cartel won't come back to get them. I mean, I know I'm falling kind of like into the Narcos territory, Netflix. I don't know. This is just what I heard, and this is not, like I said, I am just the messenger of what I've heard. I share no belief in that, but I find it's interesting. And one time, Elmendorf, over Elmendorf?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
I had this one particular lady that she's agoraphobe. You know what agoraphobe is?
No.
Agoraphobe is someone that's afraid to leave their house. They won't leave their house.
Oh, okay.
And nowadays you can do that, right? Because you can get everything basically your grocery.
You can even work from home nowadays too. So right, I mean, you can basically.
Well, she chose because she had no desire. She was fearful of the outside world, right? But usually, everybody that I work with is just like this, right? They feel comfortable around me. They feel like just like, hey, I've known you for forever, even though this is the first time I've met you. And I guess maybe a guy, maybe of my stature, she felt comfortable. She goes, you know what? I feel safe with you. Do you think we could go outside? I go, are you sure? Yes, I want to do this. I want to do this, right? So we go outside, we're walking, and this was in October. The weather was perfect, man. Maybe like 84 to 85 degrees outside. And so we're walking. We get maybe 3/4 of a mile away from. She's living like in this is a mobile home. It's out there in the country. And they are people. But your neighbors are pretty far spread apart, living in this area. So all of a sudden, here comes this giant Rottweiler.
Shit.
And she loses it. I get between her and the dog, and just say, hey boy. Now and then he starts barking, and then she just jumps up, and I'm holding her like this, so I walk 1/4 of a mile backwards, and go into her. And the dog did not. I mean, it may have been territorial, but it didn't get to the point where it was aggressive.
It wasn't aggressive. Okay.
But she was very, very upset, right? And she says, that dog is my neighbor. Remember I said that their neighbors are pretty far spread apart. He's not supposed to be loose like that. Can you call the sheriff and let him know what happened here? Because I am just so upset. So I give me the number, and they answer. And I'm telling the whole story just like I'm telling you, right? After I finish, there's a long pause. And then they say, sir, this is the post office. I went into that whole dramatic story and told it to the wrong person because it was the post office. So in a way, it was a kind of a good thing because this woman was crying because she was so upset of what had happened. But now she was crying because she was cracking up, right? She goes, I'm sorry, that's the wrong number. Here's the right.
Oh, Lord.
Oh man!
But it helped diffuse.
It helped diffuse it. Yeah,
laughter.
She started laughing.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good.
Oh man,
that's a good way. That's a good way that you made her feel calm and whatnot. I'm sure that helped as well. Had it been someone else, heaven knows that she, So that
but those just like a little bit of my experiences. Have you had something like maybe similar to that nature? I know Esther Ernesto here is very involved with the City of Comfort. And he was just telling me some very interesting stories and what his plans are to help by the year, what, 20?
Oh, we were talking about our Comfort Vision 2050.
2050.
Yeah, we were talking about 2050. And what that was, Oh, that was what that was it was a grant that was given to us by UTSA, and it was a study brought to us, and we had a series of town halls, and different people from the different demographics were invited, and they just had basic conversation, basic questions about what they would think or wanted comfort to look like in 2050, right? Because it's 25 years from now, but even though it sounds like it's far, it's really not, because in a blink of an eye, we've already hit the first quarter of this century. So it's coming fairly quickly.
That's right.
So then through that, the UTSA compiled a really good book, and it's called Comfort Vision 2050. And it's pretty much the wants and the needs of the demographics in the community. And it talks about preservation, economy, housing, what they wanted the houses to look like, where they wanted this housing, what kind of education they wanted to preserve. We're also a historical area, so we've got over 100 homes that have been identified as historical. So we've got a beautiful historical downtown. So we work on that. And of course, one of the most important topics I'm sure you've heard about living in Corn, Texas, is water, right?
Oh,
so the
yes,
the water issue is really big here. So I have a big passion also making sure that, yes, we're going to grow, but the demographic are growing as well. So the need's going to grow, but we want to make sure we grow responsibly. And that's kind of the stewardship of that needs to be monitored. And that's kind of what we do with that book. That book is kind of a monitor, and it's really great.
Because when was it? I remember, because I used to work in home health, and I remember treating patients. One out here in, I believe it was Bernie, right? And they were saying like they were like bone dry, like they didn't have any water,
right?
And there was. It's funny how they were thinking about like people like stealing. They would go, I guess, and try, get their truck and have these big, tanks and fill up with water.
Yeah, water tanked in and whatnot, and they're finding solutions for that, right? Because you can pipeline water. Water is the new oil. That's the new pipeline, right?
That's what they're just saying. I've heard that.
Just like Houston, where Houston is surrounded with mud communities, and what mud communities are their waters brought in from outside. So we'll just buy the water from another lake or another community and pipeline it in. But it's also the wastewater, and coming in from a community that has drought, sometimes it's very hard to have 300,000 gallons of wastewater daily dumped into a drought-filled, So we just won or kind of held back a community. Lennar was trying to build a community right down the road from us, and they wanted to build 1,200 homes, 2,400 homes in total, which was going to destroy a beautiful view, because it's actually the view on the drive from Comfort to Fredericksburg. So that beautiful view, and it took about a year, but it took community and leadership to really get involved and make sure that that didn't happen. And literally about a week ago, I think they just stepped back and declined or don't want to have that application anymore. So they resigned that application. So we got lucky for now, but there is a growth coming into Comfort, and my passion is the growth of it.
Cool. And you said you've been here how long?
I've been here 16 years.
16
I've been here 16 years. I thought I was going to live here 1 year. I thought it was just going to be a quick stint, and then I was going to head onward, and I ended up meeting people. I got involved with the Lions Club, which was the first organization that I joined, and then from there I went to the Comfort Little Theater and became a part of that community. And then I was working at the bank here, and then through the bank ended up as assistant vice president. So I had some branches and was able to meet a lot of people, and then eventually went into real estate, which allowed me to really develop my passion of service of community. So through that, I probably belong or have belonged to every organization, presided over every organization in town. And that's where my heart is being a servant to the community.
So you've gotten kind of experienced like the different forms of living, like metropolitan versus kind of like, this is more like, small town, USA type of living, right? And we're still fairly young. We're young.
Yeah, 55 is the new 30, actually. So he's 55, not me.
Yeah, I got more. I got the silver hair.
I think I'm older, but anyway.
But getting exposed to that type of living, because like for instance, like my sister lives in Hebronville, right? And now that's about roughly this Comfort's maybe not is about the same size, would you say?
Comfort's going to be probably about the same size, 3,500. Okay. It's the demographic is a little bit different, and the where we are is different, but
But
it's,
like, like the whole vibe
it's
is,
a community, a small town community.
you see, like you relate that the smaller towns to more like a retirement type of a community. Would you say that's like what lives here would say, or is it kind of mixed?
You're going to see a big mixture. I think a lot of what keeps me here is, first of all, the beauty of this town is a lot of the founders and a lot of the founding families that created Comfort. Comfort was founded escaping religion and politics, right? That was how Comfort came about in 1854, and it still kind of maintains that. But you end up meeting a lot of those families are still here. A lot of their ranches are still here. And what keeps me here is my demographic is still here. So as you mentioned, our age, there's a lot of that demographic here.
Here now? Yeah.
Yes. So you're able to identify that, but at the same time, what the community is bringing in and what the community is growing is still a lot of Texan. But as you mentioned, retired Texan, we're getting a lot of Rockport, a lot of oil and gas from Houston that have worked for those companies that are now retiring and coming and building in our area. So we're being very responsible in the growth, but we're also noticing that the people are coming and to live here have that same community mindset, and they have that mindset of maintaining the traditions and expectations in the culture. Heavy drinkers and free thinkers in Comfort, Texas.
So like, the ZZ Top goes how it Hellraisers.
Hellraisers, not about Hellraisers.
Big drinkers.
I used to go to it's a different, I remember going to the bazaars and all the Catholic daughter bazaars and stuff when I was a kid in Falfurrias.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mary Miss Catholic daughter, prim and proper and whatnot. I don't know if it's the German community here, but you go to the bazaars here, the little old Catholic daughters are sitting down there with their wine, drinking, and they'll sell you some for a donation that'll go to the church. So it's got that. It's just they love community. They love events. They'll do anything and go to any event that's going to support something or give back to the community.
See, and that's like so much different. That's what I was getting back to as far as, the fact of still being young and living that's changing now because there's more of our demographics here now.
Yeah.
But
what's odd is the age demographic is here, but my demographic isn't here. And I think that's kind of what I love about this town. And I think that's kind of what I'm that attraction, I guess, as well. I'm a Tejano.
And proud.
And proud. I'm a 300%er, 100%.
Yo también.
Yeah, we're 300%ers. And, you don't find that here. You're either German or you're from Mexico, and it's second generation, third generation. There isn't a generation. But at the same time, it's a great community. I'll never forget the first time, because a lot of the Mexicanos that got here in the 60s, right? 50s and the 60s. And they're all predominantly from the same area. So it's just families that migrated from Durango, Zacatecas, León, Guanajuato, all these three, and they all live in an area. And they're my family too, because it allows me to follow a lot of that, the Hispanic culture and the Guadalupana style stuff. But it's amazing the first time because a lot of these people that got here like in the 60s and the 50s that are now older and retiring, some of them got here with no family, right? So they lived with this German family that they didn't speak English either. They spoke German. So all of a sudden, when I would work at the bank, this was when I first got here, you'd have them come in and these older Mexicanos were going into the nursing home or they were getting retired. They were getting some stuff and the Germans would help them and they're talking. I'm like, what the hell are they saying? Well, because the Germans didn't speak English and the Mexicanos didn't speak English, German, Mexican, and they created their own language.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to hear sometimes some of these Mexicanos with this German I'm like, what are y'all talking about? He's talking to the 80-year-old man and he's already, he worked for my great grandpa and he's going into the nursing home and and he starts talking to the Mexicano and I'm trying to talk to him in Spanish. Then there's this Germanish or I don't know what, it's hilarious, but and that's what I love about this town is there's no segregation of that demographic. And it's,
that's
great. The Tejano isn't here. The Selena dance, you know what I mean? Like we grew up watching
we're talking about
Domingo Peña, the Tejano. We don't see that here.
He mentioned Domingo Peña. If you're from our neck of the woods, you remember that. And that's when you're talking about the fusion of two different cultures, of German and Mexican, right? Okay.
Which is a lot. You've got Hinojosa, which is German, and it was Vinojosa. And we have a lot of influence of that in our hometown as well.
The mix.
we have a mix, but I'd never seen it where it was just true.
It was hardcore.
I mean, these third, fourth generation Germans, it's still just German, like old world German, even more than German sometimes, which is really interesting.
So, on that train of thought of the mixing of two different cultures, so we'd have it playing, right? Before we go in, like in the background, like you're going to misa. So most of the time, most everybody's getting dressed. You have it playing in the background. Now, the music that was coming out, it sounded like traditional conjunto. Ahí está el acordeón.
Yeah.
Right? And so it, and the bajo sexto.
Yeah.
So
and I had to have my Uncle Pee Wee. You know what I mean? We had to have.
He was
that's a
great.
Texas icon right
Texas
there.
icon
Texas
for
icon.
Fun Food, yes. But anyway, so they comienza para cantar. Pero ¿sabes qué? No es en español. Es en japonés.
Japonés.
Japanese. They were called. So when I heard that they were not singing in Spanish, I went to go check out the TV, right? Because I was in the other room getting dressed. So on the screen, you saw what looked like from a distance the traditional conjunto group. They had the cowboy boots, the Wrangler pants, the cowboy hat, but their shirts were the Japanese flag.
Oh, yeah.
Los Gatos de Japón. They were singing.
Los Gatos de Japón. Oh, wow.
And so they said that when they got here, they heard Tony de la Rosa and they fell in love with his music. So they met him one time and they said, "Can you teach us?" Yeah. So they picked it up, man. And I don't know if you noticed, but like in Japanese, they use, because you studied Spanish, right? The pronunciation of certain words, it sounds Spanish, right?
Yeah.
For instance, konnichiwa. That almost sounds Spanish.
Yeah.
Right?
I can think of a few words in it.
Chaparro, right? Which is, of course, what were the words you were thinking?
Cochino, cochina. Sorry.
That's Japanese.
Cochonaro. I don't know. What is that? What did you say?
We're talking about, I'm saying like
what word did you use? Cochorano?
Oh, no, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Isn't...
Cochina.
No. Okay, now I'm just barely putting the correlation together. But anyway, the same thing in Guadalajara. There's a place called Plaza del Mariachi. So, like on the weekends, or I don't even know is there our mariachis playing every day of the week? But well, I was there. It was the weekend.
Depends on where you are, I guess.
Yeah,
if it's brunch at Las Margaritas,
they're going to be there.
They're there.
They're there early. Well, this was
or a misa.
They were so there. You go in the Plaza de Mariachis. There is mariachis there.
Oh, okay.
And so, I guess if you need mariachis Uber delivered to your whatever your party is or whatever you got going on, celebration. So you go there. But there was a group, and they're all Japanese, and they sing charro mariachi music, right? So I don't think they were called Los Mariachis de Japón or whatever, but I thought I think would have been a better name for that band other than Los Gatos de Japón. Los Samurais del Norte.
Hey, that's a good one. Los Samurais del Norte.
Los Samurais del Norte.
Los. With those machete.
So, speaking of, Spanish, so was Spanish your first language or your second language?
Second.
Second language.
Of course, my parents didn't really speak Spanish. My grandmother didn't. I think they grew up in an era where you couldn't. So
you would. I heard stories that they would spank you.
Oh yeah, you could not speak Spanish. So that wasn't very. It was in primary language, and then sometimes growing up, it wasn't really needed. I mean, we just really didn't need it. We all spoke English, and then I ended up going to college, and then through college getting my first degree. Started taking Spanish courses, and then went to Mexico did a stint there for a while, and then just through that developed and learned Spanish and whatnot. And then ended up getting a degree in Spanish and stuff. But I practice it quite a bit. Sometimes I think I speak better Spanish than.
Así somos iguales, porque a veces siento un poquito más cómodo hablando en español. ¿Tú crees?
O es como un Tex-Mex. So, empiezo a hablar inglés y luego empezamos en español.
Español.
Pero a veces porque como tú en bienes raíces tengo muchos clientes como de Guadalajara and DF, and I've got a lot of people from Mexico that come in and they don't really speak the Tex-Mex. So you've got to be very aware, right? That way when you're talking, I'm like, okay, talk full and be proper. Don't throw it all like, vamos a la troca y el
Troca, camioneta.
And they're like, what are the vistas? And they're like, well, the movies are like, es el cine, vamos a ver una película al cine. ¿No?
Troca.
Hombre, vamos a las vistas a ver una vista en la troca y vámonos. You know, that's kind of the Spanish, and then sometimes you have to be, vamos a la camioneta. You know, I'm like, but you know, you grow up, and that's part of also being Tejanos. You know, it's we have that.
It's its own dialect, the Tex-Mex.
It's Tex-Mex.
Because you know, also speaking about home health, and I was working. This was on the south side of San Antonio. Hey, I love your south side. Reminds me a lot of the way I grew up. But anyway, I was gonna go work with this one little girl who is on the spectrum, autistic. And her mom comes up to me and she's speaking like just in very broken English, like inglés mucho. So I start, ¿sabes qué, señora? No te preocupes, si quieres podemos hablar en español. She goes, huh? I go, do you speak Spanish? No. Do you speak any other language other than English? No. So she, I guess because her parents spoke to her like that and refused to speak to her in Spanish, so that's how she learned English.
Oh, wow.
And that's the only language she knew, but she spoke it like with the heavy Mexican accent. And I just thought that was, you know, bizarre.
That's interesting.
Because, you know, she dropped out of school and stuff like that, so...
So it wasn't really taught. It was just what she picked up.
It's what she picked up to the environment. Just like, you know, like, have you ever been like, I remember going to California. And when you've been to other states, right?
Oh, yes.
When they hear you talk, do they say that they can tell like you're from like the South Texas or a Texan accent? Would you say, does anyone ever told you that you have a Texan accent?
I think once in a while people have, and then but some people will tell me.
And like, where were you when that happened?
God, I don't know. I've been to so many places.
Like somewhere north or whatever. That happened to you.
I have a lot of time people telling me you don't have an accent. But I don't know, because I think I do have kind of a like, I don't know.
The southern draw.
Twang.
The twang.
I think I have a twang sometimes, or I'll catch myself. I'll say oil, you know what I mean, or something, or oil. You know what I mean? But it's just you meld who you're talking to, I guess. My grandfather was, you know, my grandfather always said, "Somos las moscas en la leche." So I would always listen to him talk to the white people, and I'd listen, you know, and it was very different than. So I guess we learn from different dialects. And
speaking that,
porque puedo hablar español y hablar blah 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 blah, and then I can.
And Tex-Mex.
Tex-Mex.
Tejano. That's like it's its own dialect here.
It is.
I mean, it's funny because there's
even words that in Falfurrias that people like. I want to say like nambe, ufale. And stuff like the people are like, there's another thing, I don't know, I shouldn't even be, do you on enchiladas, speaking of Mexicanos and Tex-Mex, is Tex-Mex enchiladas, right, the chile con carne, people always dog me when I tell them I love like Blanco Cafe enchiladas because it's chile con carne. But anyway, do you put crackers? And do you know that I think Falfurrias, or there's no one can really, it's a Falfurrias, like, and one day someone posted it and they put crackers, and somebody actually put, you must be from Falfurrias on this food page, because and I just was wondering, sorry.
That's also from that, you've seen that meme, right?
Yeah.
It goes, you said, you told me you were from Fast and the Furious.
Oh yeah, no, I'm from Falfurrias.
No, I told you I was from Falfurrias.
That's funny.
But like, I call it falfa every time I refer to back home. You call it falfurrios?
Falfa. Usually, if I'm heading down, I'll like falfa bound.
Falfa bound.
Falfungus bungus. That's what I usually say when there's people that you're, it's falfungus bungus.
You know, like when I'm going back home, for some reason, when I hit Ben Bolt, I want to start hearing to listening to Ruben Naranjo,
Yeah.
Los
It
Gamblers.
doesn't feel the same anymore.
Well, how so?
Because of the roads and all the changing. And
But anyway, when I'm in
the
that,
good old days when you drive through Fremont and drive through and drive
oh,
through.
that's
and
right, they got
stop.
that. What's
It's all
the
of the bypasses.
what is it called? What bypass is it?
77. What is it? This 77 bypass? Is it
77 bypass,
281
whatever.
bypass?
Yeah, because you don't even go through downtown
You don't
Fremont.
go through any of that. I mean, the ride is different, and especially now because you've got to. Where am I going now? Like, what is it? But I sure do miss the old drive to FAO. That 3 hours.
That's the same.
Once you hit South San Antonio, you know it's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yes, there on and speaking of Alforrias, where the city food used to live right in that. What's that called? What is that still part of 285?
25 and 2.
You know, it always freaks out because it always messes up
25
that
and
there's that one lane is a turning lane. Like
Do you go forward or not?
yeah, you know, and I always get that mixed up. Still, it's been like that. I don't know what 30 years now.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they hadn't fixed that. But, you know, it's just, I guess people get it. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're not supposed to be going through there. But that's how you get to Hebronville. So, you know.
And so, you know, being out here, I know like social media has kept us all, you know, connected digitally. But is there anybody from like back home that you see like on a regular basis?
I talk to pretty much on a regular basis. Actually, about 2 or 3 years ago, I hosted a class reunion, and I hosted it in Comfort. So about a quarter.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
Quarter of our graduates came or more. I mean, I had about 50 or 60. As a matter of fact, this beautiful hotel hosted a happy hour in this very room for us. So we had a lot of Falfurrias class of 89 and some of the wives that graduated here and there here. But our class has really kept good contact. Like really.
But like, do you like in person see them?
Oh yeah. I mean, I not everyone all the time, but
Not all the
there's
time,
always
but you still
times
like
and
it.
places. But I remain connected with them, and all the people that I grew up with and that I pretty much hung around with through pretty much like the 4 years of your high school. You do it too because I see all the badass concerts and stuff that you all go to.
Yes.
You know, we do meet once in a
Shout
while.
out to my brothers
Yeah.
from another mother, Hector Montemayor, Primo, Mike Garcia,
Yeah.
and Al Perez. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. My schedule is crazy now. Haven't been able to hang out with you as much as I would, but I plan to do that. We do Old Man Coffee
Oh, do you?
on Sundays. So Old Man Coffee, that might be a video all in itself in the future. So be looking out for that. But
Well, if y'all are in your 50s, y'all can call each other. Are y'all los Quinto Coots or algo? I'm an honorary member of a group in town, and they're all in their 80s, and they're called the Octocoots, and they're waiting for me to catch up. That's what I'm in it for. I'm like, okay.
But speaking of that, you know, like remember growing up, how we saw someone back home in Falfurrias. We saw them; they were like 40 something. We thought they were old.
Oh God, yes.
Old. We were talking about yesterday was into like the TV shows, which is a show probably couldn't come out now, but was All in the Family.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, Archie, how do you think Archie Bunker was when he did that?
You know, looking back, of course, it's really odd. Like you see, he was probably in his late 40s.
Yeah, I think he was 46.
But to us, he looked like he was.
He looked like he was
60s.
70.
You know, and
Same thing for Red Fox and Sanford and Son.
and you look at things now because I binge watch a lot of old stuff. Like right now, I'm binge watching. Don't laugh. I'm binge watching Barney Miller.
Barney Miller.
I'm binge watching the Bundys. Children, Married with Children.
Married with Children.
And
Ed O'Neill.
even they
Christine
were
Applegate.
old back then. And now that I look at them, I'm like, they look young. Like, and I don't know. It's just weird that the perception.
Your perception from that at that age.
And now it's flipped on us, and you're like, oh,
We're that-
like what
we're
are
that-
you,
we're the-
35 or something? And I'm like, shut up! I just want to kick the kid.
But you know, the thing is, like, you know, I think you're living the same life. That's why I wanted to have him as one of my guests. He has the same kind of an outlook. We're not really looking at that or thinking about it too much. Yeah, we know it's there. You know, that's why we're taking better care of ourselves. But you know,
As I grabbed my bourbon Bloody Mary.
very bourbon.
Cheers! I had to take a roadie. You can't walk in glass downtown. Come.
You know, so we're like aging gracefully, and we're okay with it. I'm not trying to change anything. It's like I remember I used to dye the bigote.
Yeah, you embrace it.
So now I just let it go. I'm just glad that this is white and this is silver. I prefer to have silver hair than white. Don't you think? To have silver hair as opposed to the white.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard.
Oh yeah.
You seen him? For a while, he used to dye his hair the whole.
Oh yeah. And that's where I thought I was gonna go. And when I started noticing it, which I really never had, my dad, I think I have more gray hair than my dad. He's like at 78,
Yeah,
and I started looking.
Your dad looks great, Bobby.
Yeah, and I started, I put crap in it. So anyway, so I started worrying. I remember as I was a kid, because my mom's brothers and sisters, they were all hasta la muerte with a just for men black. You know what I mean? Like
Tres flores.
just for men black. So I thought that was going to be me. Or, oh my god, And then I started looking at it one day. My guy that cuts my hair. I say groomer, but it makes me sound like a dog.
Groomer?
But I hate to say my hairstylist because I don't have his hair, he's just my groomer. And I liked it. I was like, this is looking kind of sexy. And I think that's kind of what did it. And then I've never in my life had facial hair, ever. I mean, this is literally the first time in my life that I've ever even not had, And it's, at first I was in like, oh shit, no, because it's calico. But it's like that primarily. But it's beautiful. And we got them, they're little trophies.
Yeah.
Like, I embrace it now, and I kind of like it, so it's kind of cool. So, but it's funny how we thought, and then all of a sudden we're like, heck no, man, this is good, and it's.
This the old. How old do you think is the oldest person that I've ever worked with? In my type of services that I do.
As far as you providing their service?
Yeah, like how old do you think is my oldest patient been?
You probably have had children.
Yeah, but like how as far old 80.
Oh, the oldest child?
Oldest.
Or the oldest person?
The oldest person.
In physical therapy.
Physical therapy. There was a patient of mine.
Probably in their 80s or 90s. Just
I had 109-year-old.
Wow.
109.
Wow.
And he came from this little bitty town somewhere in Mexico. And when I talked to him and I asked, pues señor, porque he didn't speak English, ¿qué es el secreto para llegar a 109? And he just stayed looking at me. And he goes, no piensas mucho. And at first I was thinking like, what do you mean? Well, think about it, right? When you think too much, what do you eventually start to do?
You're putting it out there.
Well, you start to stress.
You stress it.
Stress wrecks your health, right? It's one of the probably leads to hypertension and just overall irritability with everything,
physically
and mentally. So that was his philosophy, to not
don't be concerned about
don't stress out about it, right? And I think if you have that outlook where you see, you take it, embrace it, deal with it, but move on. Don't hold on to it, right? You got to let it go, and it's okay. As far as when it comes to grief, for instance, loss of a loved one, you never get over that, but you learn to live with it. But other things where you hold on to and just grudges,
right?
Where someone did you wrong or whatever, let it go.
Yeah. There's just a lot of people that obsess about the smallest,
the littlest things,
or the littlest things that aren't even going to be there next year. It's just things that come through us. And I think the most important is the way you attack it and the way your things are going to happen to us every day. It's your response to it and how you're going to, and things are going to get us down every day. But if you get up saying, that all you got, you hit like a bitch. You know what I mean? Like you got to treat life and anything that comes at you, to me, that way. Like, there's some things that are
just like what stoicism is?
Yes.
Socrates, remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? When I went through a really bad breakup about 4 years ago, and of course I was devastated because I grew up old school, man. My mom and dad been together 50, I think they're just about to celebrate their 54th wedding anniversary. When that didn't, and like I said, I wish her all the well, but I was devastated when that didn't work out, right? And of course, I went back to my faith, of course, God, but these Stoics, it's crazy because they lived 3,000 years ago, but some of their sayings you can apply
Oh yeah, absolutely.
to today, right? One of them I remember is you can't help how people treat you, but you can control your emotions
Right.
afterwards, right? And things like that. It's like they were saying. Another one is that we suffer more in our minds than we do in the real world. Goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Yes.
Stress,
The stress.
right?
And about the small, it isn't any, I think, or from what I listen to people and they talk to me about what they're going through, or, because I help people reach out to me a lot just with for resources. And it's so easy for me sometimes to be like, well, why don't you do this, and they've been stressing on something for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just a small, and that's kind of, there's we do need to stress and worry, but there's bigger things.
Yeah, but you can do it in a productive way. Turn that stress or worry to
Harness it.
Yeah, and use it to be productive.
Just like that, or nerves and stress. It's that you harness that power and you use it in a positive light. It's all energy, but it's how you use that energy, or how you, like you mentioned, how you react to it, how you react to your emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where your power is. You can't control a lot of factors that are around you, but you're going to control how you're going to react to it, how
Your
it's
emotions.
going to impact you, and how it's going to happen, and that's just kind of the perception I have.
Yeah. And so, like those teachings, you can another one where this was more. I think it was in Latin, amor fati, and it's like love your fate. Like we're only here on this earth for a short period of time, and embrace all the good things are going, and try not to emphasize on the bad. And I think that's what a lot of stuff's going on today. But if you have this outlook where you're grateful that you woke up, it's another day. Do something to be productive and enjoy it. Because when you have a plan, like Ernesto does, you tend to live more contently, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And
you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, gratitude's a lot.
Gratitude
has
there
a
you
lot.
Go. Be thankful for what you have.
Or for what you don't have.
And what you don't have.
And or for who you're not and whatnot. I mean, even though you see people that are not up to par with what your standard is, or you don't like what they do or how they treat people, you always have to understand that they're still teaching you something. They're teaching you what not to be. So you even have to be grateful for that, for every little thing. And I think gratitude changes in a complete outlook on and expressing. I mean, just expressing it to someone instead of saying thank you and saying, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate you. The difference in the reaction you get from a stranger is so different that you'll start like wanting to make sure you tell everybody that and it's catchy. And that's what I think we need more in the world.
Yeah, because I think if you're grateful and thankful for what you have, and if what you don't have, if you can try to work for it, but don't put your whole center of attention just on achievement. Like I said, enjoy all the positive things, the positive interactions you're having with people. And I'm hoping to do that, with what I'm doing right now, right? This is like a lot of people, been asking, well, what's your topic? And I go, no, I don't really have a topic other than just sitting down and talking to someone, listening to someone, right? And I feel that
you're receiving stories, and that's what you enjoy. And everyone has a story and understands.
Listening and telling stories too at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Because being in this like one time this is crazy, man. Crazy. I told this story, I mean, maybe a million times, being in healthcare, but I haven't put it on video. So I'm over by the West Side. Right? I have 96-year-old woman, right? And so for our seniors, because you've seen Sit and Be Fit, right? That TV show that they used to come on. Well, the program for most of them is just start off. And of course, she didn't speak English. Señora, vamos a comenzar con movimiento con los pies, ¿ok? Vamos a hacer esto 10 veces. She did it. ¿Ok? Ahora las patadas 10 veces. And then she just stops me. ¿Sabes qué? No van a trabajar para mí. ¿Por qué, señora? Necesito algo más intenso. ¿Cómo qué, señora?
Oh.
Pues allá en mi cama.
Oh.
Now I say yes because no, I'm not thinking about that. It's the furthest thing from my mind. Come on. She'll not be my great grandmother. Well, anyway, so I say okay, but I'm thinking we also have a exercise program. Did you do it from laying down? Right? So that's why I say yes. Vámonos. De veras. She goes. She gets up in her walker and she goes running like that. And with the walker. Oh, like, ¿sabes qué? She's doing pretty good. Look at her move. Right? So I get there, I lay down, I start showing her the exercise, and she goes, no. No estoy hablando de eso. Señora, estoy bien confundido. ¿De qué estás hablando? Pues tú eres hombre, yo soy mujer, ahí está mi cama.
Oh, wow.
96 years old.
Intenso. Hey, only the body ages, the heart and the mind doesn't. Good for her.
I go, discúlpeme, señora, aquí no estoy para hacer eso. But and then all of a sudden, like her nurse had gotten there, and she goes, "Oh my God, did she behave herself? Did she tell you anything?" She propositioned sex to me.
Oh my gosh, I've got.
But 96?
Yeah.
You normally hear the stories of the men being that way, but this was an elderly lady.
I have an aunt, a great cousin, and very artistic lady, and she's a Villarreal, my tia Elva's daughter, and she was my aunt, Sexy Patsy, right? Always call me Sexy Patsy. And this was in the 70s and 80s, and of course in the 2000s she was already aged, and I had to co-visit her at the Heart Hospital here in San Antonio, so I came to visit her at the Heart Hospital, and same lady, right? I walked in the door. She's in her 80s. I sit back and I walk in. And at that point, she was kind of a little bit, she thought she was in a hotel or a spa, right? So she sits up on her bed and she's got this long black hair. And she's looking in a mirror as I walk in and she's putting on her red lipstick, right? She's beautiful. Bien española. I mean, I come Spaniard. I'm a Sephardic Jew, but whatever.
Yeah, we're white.
We're
white Latinos.
I'm a mutt. You know what I mean? Like I'm a little of this, una ensalada, a little of this, and a little of that. Anyway, so I walk in and I'm talking to my aunt, and 86, long black hair, lipstick. And, pues fíjate, aquí la comida está bien, me tratan muy bien aquí. And she's telling me how wonderful the service is at this hotel. It's the San Antonio South Texas Heart Hospital over off I-10 in like Vance Jackson. So this orderly that must be about 21, 22, good-looking, muscular, walks in. And he's like, Mrs. Barrera, I'm going to have to lift you up and move you and blah, blah, blah. He has to get her up. He has to position her. He picks her up. He has her standing, and he has her like under the breast, like holding her up by the back. She has this long, and he's behind her. And all I hear is, I will not be held responsible for my actions if you touch me in the right places. The face on that 21-year-old little boy when this 86-year-old woman has just come on to was the most classic. Like I had to call my cousin Sylvia, which is her sister. I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what Aunt Patsy did and said. It was the most. But like you said, the heart and the mind don't age. Our bodies, sometimes won't work, but we still think it.
But that was, like the fact that, that she was even still thinking that. And usually most of my residents and patients that I work with, that's the furthest thing from them.
Or they're not telling you.
That's true. Never thought about that.
They're not expressing that,
But just like this TV show. Oh, it's not a TV show, but it's. I find myself. Do you ever find if you watch something, it's bad, but you watch it, and I'm not talking about something perverted or anything.
Like Faces of Death.
Oh yeah, I remember that VHS tape.
Yes.
The monkey.
I think we wore it out. We go to Teleview Video and get all three.
The monkey.
Mine was the Frozen Bodies.
Oh.
Anyway.
And
memories. the drag. Stop on the
Going
drag,
up,
get a
up
video.
and down. Well, here we go otra vez. I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. Age. We were talking about clients. You had a 118-year-old woman who came on to you or something.
96.
Oh, 96.
I completely forgot what I was talking about. I want you to go back and watch the video and then probably come back to me. But we will continue.
You're editing this.
We're editing. Yes, thank God for editing, right? But I'm having a blast.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. I'm happy. I mean, I've seen you, like you said, I follow your journey.
Thank you.
A lot of it is your fitness journey.
Yes.
And then, of course, I've noticed more video and more,
Content.
but I think it's hilarious.
Trying
So
to be.
when you messaged me, I was like, heck yeah. I'm like, I'm nervous as heck. And,
Well, I hope you start to feel comfortable as we continue to.
Oh yeah,
record
I
here.
know I am. I mean,
I tell them
talk
just
all
be
day.
yourself, and I think let the conversation flow freely, because I don't really have a where some people will put out like an outline of what they're going to talk about. No, mine is just, like I said, conversation.
Yeah.
There's no script here. I guess it's totally true reality TV.
Conversación.
Conversación. Just like my Celinda yesterday.
Oh
right?
yeah.
But,
I bet she was a blast. Celinda's a hoot.
we had a blast.
Celinda's a hoot. I'm different. I'm just.
But anyway,
quiet.
because I told her I wanted to help people that live in my area that are out here. And she goes, well, I live in Shirts. Okay. Well, tomorrow I'll see you there at Camisas. I typed in the text. And at first she didn't get it.
She didn't.
No, I live in Shirts. Yeah, that's what I said.
Camisas. That's hilarious.
Rim shop.
Well, here it's Confor. C-O-N-F-O-R.
Confor.
Why not Confor? That's what they Confor.
Who Raulito is?
Yes. He's hilarious.
And one time I went to him when Emilio was still alive, right? And he performed, and they were doing how some people would say say a shout out to so and so, and it goes, here's to Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez son de Saigon, singing.
That's hilarious. Well, there you go. There's still another connection of, well, that's not Japan, but
Yeah, going back.
there is an Asian culture.
We go back to what we were talking about earlier, Saigon. That's like
Estamos japoneses. Turning
Just-
Japanese.
Like you want to hear let's do like a corny joke, right? That probably everybody knows. You may already know this one. It's gonna be in Spanish. ¿Cómo se dice 99 centavos en chino?
99 centavos en chino.
Chino. Cachichen. Casi 100.
Ba-dum-bum. Oh, wow.
I was more.
Lame.
But like everybody knows that one. Just about everybody that I talk
I
to.
haven't heard it. Cachiten.
Cachichen. Or how to, ¿cómo se dice perdido en chino?
I don't. I didn't bring my translator.
¿Dónde estoy? ¿Dónde estoy?
God. That's a good one. You also need to do stand-up.
Anyway,
We need to catch him live.
no,
and
but
local
then I'd
somewhere in San
be like
Antonio.
the freaking Carlos Mencia of comedy, because I'd be just stealing everybody else's jokes, and that's like one of the biggest no-nos that you can have in stand-up comedy, right? Do you heard about that about Carlos
But you
Mencia?
can do more of like the storytelling and like your content can be more crowd work and de dónde eres? Are you from
I got something out today.
and more of a content, and then going back to your stories because your stories are funny, and then all you're doing is going back to a joke,
so-
and you can this is a joke so and so, and you can give them cred.
Speaking of that, do you remember the ventriloquist that went to Falfurrias in our school? Do you remember him? He's from San Antonio. I can't remember his name. He just passed away a couple of years ago.
I don't even remember the ventriloquist.
You don't remember? Well, I think I was in junior high. You might. Well, I'm pretty sure he went to the high school also. They had this ventriloquist, and he was from this area. Now he had his comedy was very similar to like this Tejano type of humor, right? And so
I know what ventriloquist you're talking about. Or I think I do, but I don't remember.
And he had the I forget what his name was. It might have been like Chavito or whatever. And he would talk about like the people in the crowd. You're saying at crowd work, and he was looking and says, "Was you know what? I went to college, And no, you didn't. What did you get your degree in? I studied genetics and DNA. I can look at somebody and I can tell you exactly where they're from. For example, that man in front, he's from Chile. How do you know that? Porque está de relleno.
God, I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember. That was a good.
He also had I think a couple other puppets. The other one was like the Tortilla Monster was the other puppet, and I can't remember the name of the boy. You know, I want to say Chavito, but that was Happy's character. Whenever you had the radio show back in the day,
Happy the Clown.
Yeah,
wow.
and he was the comedian. But it was funny. It was funny. You know, well, at least I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
You know, him.
Happy.
And then the other one when he's doing it, like he has his puppet there and he's saying, you need me. No, I don't. You know, without me, you don't move. You don't move. No, I can move. I'll show you. Well, hey, look, I'm gonna take my hand out and you move. And so, okay, is ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. See, did you move? Yes. What did you move? My hair. It was stupid things like that. But you know, I guess
it was that type of comedy back then.
I find that funny. Like speaking of comedy, like who's your favorite comic? Do you have one?
Gosh, there's so many. Off the top of my head, I mean, I like some raunchy comedy. Like if you go into some older comedy, like
Eddie Murphy?
Queen's a comedy. No, a little bit younger, like Samore. I love Samore. Samore, however, you know, she's funny. Right now, I love Steph Tolub. Have you ever heard her? She's raunchy, New Yorker.
No, I haven't heard her.
Dresses like a sailor. She's hilarious. Matt Rife was pretty cool.
Matt Rife is funny. I know Matt Rife.
I find a lot of more comedy in the crowd work.
And that's what he specializes in.
Regurgitated stuff. But when you listen to somebody just going on, like just plowing into someone or just, you know, the celebrating life and laughing at it, I think is in that crowd work.
Because that's what he does. That's what he does.
I enjoy.
Yeah.
Follow Steph Tolub. She's coming to San Antonio. She'll be here on the 17th, by the way. So I think I'm going to get tickets for her. But she's hilarious. But just raunchy. You know.
I like, what's his name? Russell Peters. You know who he is?
He's funny.
I like what he was telling that story, you know, and maybe Ernesto can relate because we grew up, like you said, we're Gen Xers. We grew up in a different time.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and I don't know, maybe it's every culture, but we got the chancla, we got the belt, right? And in Russell Peters, who's Canadian, but his ethnicity is Indian, you know, from India. And he says that all foreign kids, and we you know, our parents, hey man, they'll hit us with a belt, you know, we you know. Now he claimed, okay, this against, I'm not trying to offend anybody, this is what his comedy and his stereotype said. He had a white friend, and he goes over to his house, and pues ahí tiene toda la ropa, hasta los calzoncillos tirados en el piso, right? So his mom comes in and goes, oh my God, Chance, I can't believe you didn't clean your room like I told you to do before your friend got here. And he just goes, he says the words, Mom, I don't have to do that. And she goes, oh my God, Chance, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And she walks outside. Now, in the meantime, his eyes are like this big, right? And he says, you know, like, how can you talk to your mom like that? You know? Because he says growing up the way he grew up, you know, they got
Go FAFO that at home.
Yeah. Said, dude, if I said that to my dad, he slapped me across the face.
Yeah.
And so he said, no, dude, if he does that, you tell him that you're going to call CPS. So a couple days later, he's there at his house, and it's funny because I can't do an Indian accent. He's doing his dad in his Indian accent, and he says, Russell, I want you to fill up these 20 burlap bags with the leaves from all the trees that were falling, because I guess it was at fall. and put them on the side of the road for the garbage will be here tomorrow to pick them up. And your dad, I don't have to do that. Dad goes for the bill. If you spank me, I'll call CPS. Goes, oh, CPS. Here's the telephone. Make that phone call. But guess what? They're not going to get here right away. And guess what's going to happen in the meantime? It was funny because he said his dad would say, just about right when he was about to spank them, he says, somebody is going to get to hurt her real bad. But he'd say it in that Indian voice.
In an Indian, that's hilarious.
So he said, you either make that phone call or you go do what I tell you. And what do you think he did?
We went and did what Dad said.
It worked.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think we would have even thought to do that. We knew better.
Yeah.
We wouldn't
You would just get the look.
We wouldn't get the chancla. We'd get the chinga. I'm sorry, excuse the French. But
Pardon
that's what
the
we
French.
get. Like we had, I think that's what's lacking this day is the good one.
Yeah. Like downtown you've been downtown San Antonio,
Oh, yes.
right? Have you seen some of like the shirts that they have there?
Mm-hmm.
And there's one I remember seeing, it said, you may know karate, but I know chingazos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was another one that said, tú eres un pendejo. Translation, you are my friend.
You're my friend. I remember Cheech and Chong. Hola, pendejos.
Hola, pendejo.
¿Cómo están todos mis pendejos? I love Cheech and Chong.
We were just talking about that yesterday. It was which one is the one where the dog pooped and they smoked it? Because the dog had eaten their stash.
I think that was
Up in Smoke?
I was Up in Smoke. Yeah.
We were talking about it and he's like driving.
Because that's when they smoked the roach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, the dog had eaten the stash and they waited for the dog to poop.
Take a shit so they could smoke the
So they
poop.
could smoke it.
Yeah.
So, and when they're all high and he's like, how's my
shit?
am I driving okay?
I
I think we're parked.
I think we're parked, man.
But that's the
Talk about some good shit.
Oh, man.
Those were the good.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I remember
All the fun Cheech and Chong movies.
open up. It's me. Who? Dave. Dave's not here.
Dave's not here. God, I haven't seen those in a minute.
I
I
remember.
was jamming to Basketball Jones though the other
I
day.
remember Basketball Jones. Yeah, it was funny.
That's one of my favorite. I don't know, for some reason it's just funny, so I'll just listen to it and
Just like
it's
SNL.
hilarious.
Did you think did you ever watch SNL back in the day?
Yes.
Saturday night. What do you think was the best era of SNL? Was it like when they started with Belushi, and what was her name?
I don't know. I think when it started with Belushi and whatnot, I was too young.
So it was more.
I
We were like,
like more of the Anna Gasteyer, that kind of era, Maya Rudolph, kind of the 90s, like
yeah, that was that with Adam Sandler and them when they were
a little
young.
like through Adam Sandler going into Maya Rudolph. Is it Maya Rudolph? And,
Oh, okay,
and,
those are the ones. Yeah.
What's
okay.
her? I can't even think of her name right now. I'm having a brain fart. Superstar.
Molly
Shannon.
Molly Shannon.
Kind of that group had a lot of really cool skits. Then it started getting political, right? And that's kind of when it kind of went downhill. But I think that was a really fun era. They did a lot of good and fun skits. Of course, you do come back to some of the classics, like, Gilda Radner was funny. They've seen some skits. Even some Eddie Murphy and stuff when he does Buckwheat. But I didn't enjoy those till later. I guess I just wasn't watching them when I was young. So now I'm like, holy shit, you can't say that. Like now the political incorrectness of some of it was
That's crazy.
And I laugh, but it's like, oh my God, they used to watch this and television. Like you go back to Archie Bunker and All in the
Yes,
Family,
yes.
or you go back to, I was watching the Jeffersons and even the word.
Even like the Jeffersons, right?
And I'm like, oh my gosh, did he just say the N word or did he just say the F word? Like, and I'm like, and it was so acceptable, and which is fine. And I think we're wimps. We perverted to,
Yeah, but like I said, it was a different time, and like I said, we saw things completely like different.
yeah.
Now that's like one of the things that I won't be touching on, right? Because it's too divisive. Is when you get into like politics. I don't want to bash it. Hey, I'm proud to be an American in this country. I'm proud to be a Tejano.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
Yeah.
But I leave my affiliation there. When people talk, say, "What's your thoughts on whoever?"
Yeah.
I won't even say the names.
Yeah.
Right. I just said, yeah, well, I have my own way of what I'm proud to be an American, and I'm just whatever is in the best interest, and I don't care what your affiliation is, and I just leave it at that. I don't. It's gotten to the point now you got to keep that private, right? Whatever you think.
Which always should be that way.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I was brought up in. Now, if you ask me, I'm not going to debate you because I don't debate people. But I don't mind having conversations with people because of the fact that I may see the perspective that I never did.
Yeah.
They may see, right? So
especially if you listen.
It isn't. It's a listening thing, right? It's not a two-sided thing. But we grew up in a time where I guess you couldn't even put a sign up in your house. Like you wouldn't want to burn a bridge, or it was not proper to tell someone whether you were Democrat or Republican. Back then, I think that's all it was. And it just went crazy all of a sudden, where everybody just puts it right here and as a diehard about it. So I think you're right, because it's just not something.
You keep it as, and I think
making fun of it should be.
You should be okay.
You should be able to laugh at it, because
that's how do you think
everything,
like Family Guy. How come that show hasn't been canceled? Or is it because it's already established itself as being offensive? Yeah. Right, so therefore it doesn't affect him. Those rules.
That, or Crystal Ball. Everybody seems to think everything they see here happens, but The Simpsons.
Just like that's why this thing. We come from more of a, like I say, I consider myself a Spanish American, right? Although I do have Mexican heritage as well. But when I did that, the DNA thing came back. I think it was like 56% of my genetics goes back to Spain. Right. So, like I said, it's just think completely different.
Yeah, and everybody has a story of how they got here and stuff. And I think, like you said, your DNA and where you come from. And I think that's very important, because it allows you to see why you are who you are, why you even see your families in different ways. 'Cause you're like, that's why I can see this.
Very unified.
I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
And why, even the religions, and even I'm predominantly Spanish, but what's interesting, what part of Spain? Oh. And, we're from the northern
part of Spain, Rioja.
Basque region.
Yeah.
We're from Villarreal, Spain, but it's, there's very French influence. Very, we're Sephardic Jews, right? So we were Jews before, so it's very important, but it also allows you to understand yourself. It allows you, now when I look at my family coat of arms, now I understand, well, that's why there's a fleur-de-lis. That's why there's a Star of David. That's why all of these factors are in, and it starts putting you together, and you start becoming whole, I guess. I don't know what the word is. You understand yourself more.
Well, that experience, like I was getting back to earlier, the fact of being Spanish, so I look white. And I was over on the northeast side, over by like Rigsby, in that area. And I put gas at a 7-Eleven, and then, at the time, since I was working in home health, I'm on the road all the time, so I take my lunch with me. And I use their microwave, and it was an African-American female manager. And so after I get my food out, and she goes, "Sir, did you purchase that product here at the store through 7-Eleven?" I go, "No, but I just finished putting gas." "Sorry, sir, you cannot use our microwave if it's not for a 7-Eleven product." So here comes a black man with his lunch. She looks right at him, puts it in the microwave, closes it, does it, tells him nothing. But you know what I did? I said, okay, just went about my business, right? And that's happened to me twice. The second time was I was working with the only information that I had, it was on the weekend for another therapist that couldn't work that weekend. And all I had was this 54-year-old female. So when I find a location, she's sitting outside in her patio, and she's like coloring. So she's like 54, but mentality, child. And I go, my name is, because I guess at work I go by Fernando. Still prefer Ariel, but at work they call me Fernando. It's okay, it's my name, right? Who are you? And I said, Fernando. Well, where's Rhonda? That's who our therapist was, a black female. And so he says, I'm here to work with you. She goes, all right. Then all of a sudden I hear, can I help you? Hi, my name is Fernando, and I'm from such and such rehab company. I'm here to work with, is this your, she's my sister. Where's Rhonda? Well, she couldn't make it today, so I'm the fill-in. And she goes, come here. She pulls me aside into a room kind of like this. She goes, you can work with my sister, but I don't know how well she's going to do with a white person. And I go, well, sorry, like what? And then, but these type of people that have Down syndrome, they kind of, puedes sentir el corazón, right? She goes, am I going to do my therapy now? And she goes, well, you come inside, but I'm going to be watching you. Her intent to be angry with me for whatever reason, I do not know. And I didn't take it personally because you know what? I'm there to help her sister. And if she's comfortable with me, I'll work with her. So
was she going to feel intimidated or?
I do know. I was just getting the vibe that the fact that she said I was white, which I am, white Latino.
We're Americans.
Yeah, there you go. And well, anyway, so I'm working with her. In the meantime, she's participating. She's cracking up. She's telling me jokes, right? And then, so I finished my session with her. And as I'm leaving, I hear, hey! And she tells me, come back. I want you to be her therapist from now on. And I told her, you know what? If it doesn't work out with Rhonda, I'll gladly come back. So I didn't take any kind of offense to the way she treated me earlier.
Yeah.
Right? I just, like Morgan Freeman said it best. How do you deal with racism? You ignore it. Move on.
And, sometimes is it a bad, sometimes it's just because they've never been around someone that color. Or they're not, we're used to the bests, right? They spoke Spanish.
Yeah, I spoke Spanish. I remember talking to my dad.
us, they were Mexicanos.
Yeah.
So you didn't see that.
I never saw that,
But
even
then
though
I understood when my grandmother didn't feel, because she was never used to being around anybody else that wasn't from Parfuda. You know what I mean? So it's really, so sometimes it probably isn't even an intentional or a hatred. It's just,
what they're used to. But since everybody sees that as so divisive.
It's such a divisive thing to see now.
Yeah, but that's funny you said that. Even like the Hofstadters, I never saw them as white.
Because they're not. They're German Mexican.
They're German Mexican. I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? They're Germans.
Yeah.
Hofstadter.
Or who was it? The Lakamis? I don't know if you remember them.
There's a lot of German in Valfurias. My uncle, my tío Roberto, which is my grandpa's brother.
Yeah.
He was. I never understood why my cousin's name was Oma. Hello, and her mother is German, which was Mr. Fleming's wife's sister. She's German. Remember Mr. Fleming Insurance?
Yeah.
The little viejito and his wife. They're Germans. And Dora, I sometimes too. I never realized because I always thought I'm Villarreal, and I didn't think I was anything else but Villarreal, right? So I forget that my mother has a last name too, and my great and whatnot. But they're Mennonite and German and whatnot. Mennonite. So there's a lot of that.
Middle Eastern.
Even if they went to Mexico and came this way, they still came from Germany or Middle East or, how many the Arabs we had in Valfurias.
Yeah.
We had 2 or 3 families and they're intermixed Hispanic. And so there's a lot of Lebanese, Hispanic, and you see it a lot in Mexico too. The Germans landed, the French, you'll see more French down in the Yucatan and you'll see more, so it's just, the conquistadores. When we came up and then through,
Like in my profile, have you ever noticed in my profile?
Yeah.
What it says, what I was in the past?
Yeah, no, what is...
Conquistador.
El conquistador.
That fought the Chapultepecs.
That's what,
Of course, I'm joking.
I don't know if we were conquistadors, but we ended up here from...
My dad said...
Monterrey.
Even like my last name, Signs, it's a Sephardic Jewish name,
Yeah.
And he said that, I don't know. I just did what he told me that, El Cid, the one that made the movie.
El Cid is our 21st grandfather.
Yeah, he said that we were related to.
We're related. It's all indigenous, and it was funny. I never really was interested in any of this until, after I have another degree in foreign art Spanish, and I took a lot of classes like Mexicans in the Southwest and a lot of that. And that's when I identified a lot of understanding my grandfather and what he was in the community when I grew up, and he was really setting the foreground for more Hispanics and Hispanic leaders in the community. He was the first. So you see a lot of that, and it just amazing. I got lost with what I'm even talking about here. But
We've been having a good
I'm having
time.
to turn over here, and I'm like, wait, what am I talking about? But
Yeah,
even
sorry, but
seeing
I'll have a bit
that
more cameras later in the
and,
future.
you know, having a lot of firsts, just kind of made me interested a little bit in it. And then one day when I was working for the bank, and I was part of a group called Amigos, which was a Hispanic kind of resource group, and I'd received a grant for TexasTejano.com. So I was going out and speaking and doing these events and making some appearances. And he said, do you know so-and-so? And she's a Villarreal and blah, blah. I'm like, no. I said, but we're Villarreales. We're all over the place. And I met her, and she started First, she started talking to me about the Villarreales and how she started talking about how if you're from Monterrey, it's one Villarreal, and we were related, blah, blah. But then she asked me, what about your mom? And blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know. I think my mom's Perez, and then I think hers is Cabal. You know, I started, but like non-caring, like, cause I'm Villarreal, somos una familia, somos nación. And she told me that you should be ashamed of yourself because you're only touching on a facet of your entire being and all of this stuff. And that's where I started just becoming interested more in understanding where we completely come from, why it brought us here, and how the DNA of it helped our upbringing, not even what we're culturally surrounded with, right? That brought us up a lot. But there's a lot of things that I identify with that I can see, okay, I can see where I was a Sephardic Jew, or I can see, we're a merchant class, and we had ranches, and it was
all of those.
And you see a lot of things and identifiers that innate and your DNA plus what we were brought up around culture. But even that you see, like the Tejano music and the accordion and all that German,
German influence.
The influence and stuff, but you appreciate it more and whatnot.
Yeah, especially. Well, I could do this all freaking day.
I could talk all day
with Ernest because we're having such a good time. But I have another interview coming up on this afternoon. I'll show you highlights and clips from that a little later on today. But Mr. Ernesto, I want to thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you
for coming.
It was great to see you.
It was great. This guy's awesome.
Allowing me to bore everyone today with a little bit of story and a little bit of.
Anything did you want to leave off with as far as I know he's trying to be a big part of this wonderful town of Comfort. So if you can support my boy here in any way you can, go for it. He'll do the best for you. He's a great person, great friend to have, and overall just a good human being.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me today. And yes, I'm always available. Like he said, it's Comfort, Texas, and I always welcome. I'm a big part of the community, and I want the community to grow and the community to thrive. And through that it's a lot of tourism, right?
Yes,
it's a lot of, like I said, he mentioned, we've got a lot of great places, attractions, restaurants, wineries, and pretty much we're a mini Fredericksburg. And whatnot. And at the same time, I help create success, and I work a lot as far as nonprofits and stuff. So if anybody ever needs ideas for fundraising and stuff.
So come on down to Comfort. You'll love it. Hasta la próxima. Vos vemos. Peace.